Brandon is off the phone with his breaking news. 24/7 Sports. Brandon Marcello at @BMarcello on Twitter. Brandon, you know us well enough to know this, Brandon. Anytime you need to go, you tell us you need to go.
That's
because
right.
Stuff's happening all over the place, but I hope you're doing well.
Doing well. Sorry, that was just my hair appointment.
You do not have to tell us. I just assume Washington and Oregon's going either to the Big Ten or staying in the Pac-12, and you were talking to all the people that matter. We're having chocolate chip cookies right now.
That's a smart thing to do because everything's sideways right now. No one has their ducks in a row. Well, Oregon Ducks, but no one has their ducks in a row. In two of these three conferences right now, and trying to decide how to get things done today. It's a mad house, and the phone calls I've been getting today, somewhat chaotic, and it's a mess out there. I almost don't want to deal with it.
Brandon, there's a lot of people fascinated by this. It bores me to death. I've said it a million times. I think the biggest story, though, is sadly the collapse of the Pac-12. When I think of really good college football brands over the years, and I know the Pac-12 has struggled in the era of the college football playoff, but the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12. And to me, it's a sad day that the Pac-12 is dissolving.
Oh, I agree with that. Absolutely. I think we're slowly seeing the deterioration of the sport of college football, but also just college athletics as a whole. This is becoming more and more a kind of a miniature NFL model where it doesn't matter, where geography doesn't matter, and you're taking away the personality of college football. That's what college football has been great about forever, is the pageantry, the unique traditions, the differences among fan bases, and the way they do things. And that's going to change. I mean, the Pac-12 is known for a certain style of play, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and that's going to dissolve away by simply just getting rid of the Pac-12 or dissolving that conference. And for that matter, even if the Pac-12 ceases to exist, it's not going to look anything like it did just a year ago or even this year. And it's not going to be even as powerful as it has been. And guess what? It hasn't been powerful in more than a decade. It's sad. And I think that a lot of us, we get caught up in all this because we're right now, this is like real world, like drama that's going on, and everybody's just sitting there waiting to see what happens. It's almost like an end of the world party, and we've resigned ourselves to that our fates have been sealed. So let's all just sit around and drink a beer and talk about the good times and see what happens and not really care what happens. But in the end, though, in this post-apocalyptic world of college sports, we're still going to be alive on the ground and have to find a way to survive and traverse it. And it's going to look nothing like we're accustomed to. And in 5 years, I would say, as we get further into this and the conferences settle down, we start seeing what the 12-team playoff looks like. It's going to be so much more corporatized. And the reason for that is because of money, because of media rights, because of these networks. And you see these memes and everywhere, but it's true. It's late stage capitalism in a lot of ways. Let's gather everything up, put everything under a conglomerate under one umbrella, and make as money and squeeze as much juice out of this as we can before it potentially goes completely bankrupt and to the wayside. It sucks.
It does.
It just absolutely sucks. And no, I don't think anybody. I think some people realize that, but like 5 years from now, just wait. Like we'll see things starting to go tick down a little bit. Whether it's ratings, attendance at games. I mean, something's going to happen that's going to make us all not something, but it's all leading to that.
Brandon Marcello is with us, 24/7 Sports. @BMarcello on Twitter is where you follow him, and you can get him on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere with his video work, and 24/7 Sports. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Is this Oregon's Texas moment? Because it appears like they kind of hold the cards here, and Texas did that with the Big 12 and ended up with a bigger share than everybody else. Might Oregon be able to kind of pull the same deal in whatever is left of the Pac-12 if they choose to stay?
That's a possibility. I don't see it as likely as far as some uneven revenue sharing there. And also, it's probably a temporary fix no matter what. I will say this. I do believe, just based off the conversations I've had the last couple of days, that if Oregon doesn't make this move to the Big Ten now, I'm not so sure they'll be able to do that in 3 years, 4 years, whatever. So if they really are wanting to go to the Big Ten, they need to jump and do it now. Having said that, I don't believe everybody in the Big Ten is still on board with Oregon and Washington, or just Oregon right now. I think there's some assumptions. Maybe I'm wrong. Some assumptions out there that everybody's on board in the Big Ten with, let's go ahead and offer Oregon for this cut for $35 million a year or whatever, about half of what we're going to pay everybody else. I still believe that not everybody's on board with that as of this hour right now, let alone Oregon having to decide, hey, maybe we should stay back here in the Pac-12, dominate this conference, go to the college football playoff every year, make more money than everybody else in this conference, and then maybe position ourselves for something better in 3, 4, 5 years. As of right now, I don't believe that's exactly the narrative that's actually happening behind the scenes.
So through your reporting, are you able to tell us there has not been an offer? You made it sound like maybe Oregon turned down an offer or decided they didn't want to be part of the Big Ten at some point, or no? Has there ever been?
Numbers have been communicated to them
Okay.
From the Big Ten, and they've been weighing whether to take that, but also the Big Ten. I should be saying the Big Ten. I'm not so sure all the presidents and chancellors there are on board.
Yeah, especially if you hesitate.
Right,
yeah, if they hesitated, I would be like, okay, it would sort of piss me off.
There's some miscommunication. There's some blurred lines here. I think that a lot of people are jumping to conclusions and all this. So, the Big Ten just offer them. They got to get all the chancellors and everybody on board, along with the ADs, but mostly the chancellors. And I'm not so sure everybody's on board right now with, let's just go offer Oregon today. Let's get this done. They have communicated with them, and they have communicated numbers to them, but you also have some hesitancy from Oregon's side. Again, this goes what I was telling you. Everything's chaotic right now, and it's weird to me, considering that we've all known that there was going to be, call it P Day, Pac-12 Day. Like, this is the day that this was all going to come to a head. The Pac-12 is going to introduce its grant of rights, and the conference either going to stay together or fall apart. And it doesn't seem like everybody's got their ducks in a row. It's so weird to me, but it's college athletics for you in 2023.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, for the record, I hate this. I think geography should mean something in college football.
Yes.
With that said, Florida State is obviously flirting around. They think their brand is big enough where they should cash in. The SEC does not need Florida State. I think Florida State to the Big Ten could be fascinating because they would get the footprint of Florida. Do you think that is a possibility?
Yes. In fact, my understanding is the Big Ten is the favorable spot that the Florida State brass want to land, and not the SEC. In fact, that there's some belief that they might have a standing offer from the Big Ten. And I'm told that's not the case at all, but that is their preference, is to be able to go to the Big Ten, not necessarily the SEC, as I think a lot of people assume. Also, having said that, I reported this week that Florida State has explored going independent, that leaving the ACC and then just going independent and riding that out maybe for a few years or just stay that way and do it that way. There have been discussions for the last year, guys, among this magnificent 7 in the ACC, one about splitting off and all this, but also maybe a couple of us, maybe a few of us, we go independent. We try to work out schedules amongst ourselves and also with other programs, so it can be more conducive for us to do that. Of course, the two leaders on all this have been Florida State and Clemson, and I know for a fact that Florida State and Clemson, from my sourcing, have explored the possibility of going independent and breaking that ACC grant of rights. How serious that is, we'll wait and see. But Clemson's been taking a very silent approach with all this by design. Florida State, by design, has been out there front and center, barking up a storm to get everybody talking and somewhat frantic about everything, and that's by design too. The end here is that Florida State wants more money. It's just that the ACC is probably going to give them more. It's just not going to be enough. And I think the end game there for them is, as much as this all seems to be, just screaming out in the wilderness and crying wolf and everything, I think in the end, Florida State is really going to do this, and they're going to break away. And, I think it's going to be Big Ten or it's going to be Independence. And those are their two options that are probably at the top of their page when they're looking at everything right now.
Great information, Brandon Marcello, who's also a friend of the show. We enjoyed a nighttime up in Nashville, hour on the show, and then we hung around after the show. My only regret today, as you know, I'm getting the tattoo in about 40 minutes. My only regret today is that it did not happen in Nashville. I thought that was going to be the perfect story. We had a fun show with you, an afternoon of drinking into the night of drinking in Nashville, and we all went out to conquer the city. To get the tattoo that night would have been the perfect story.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. That was a lot of fun, and I was not expecting to start drinking at 4:00 and be drunk by 5:30 and be like, oh no, I guess I'm not going to do any work tonight. But man, we came so close to seeing it happen. I was so shocked to be walking in those tattoo parlors, and they were just packed. It was like they were having their own bachelorette parties in there.
On a Tuesday night.
What we call bad decisions. That was probably one of many bad decisions that night for those bridesmaids.
Yeah, I mean, it's very weird. Like you go out to some other bars. I did that later that night, and it's like these bars aren't as packed as the tattoo parlors were.
All right, he is Brandon Marcello. He's heating up that phone, man. So follow him on Twitter at @bmarcello for all the breaking news, 24/7 sports as well. Brandon, we always appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, guys. I'll be watching. I can't wait to see it, Jim.
Yeah.
40 minutes. 40 minutes.
If I cry, I apologize.
See you, Brandon.
I didn't like that laugh.
Yeah, Rockstar's favorite when Jim apologizes.
Does that hurt?